We are back with Women Crush Wednesday. Annenberg Media's Kellie Miller sat down with a former foster youth who is using her experience to help other women turn their lives around.
That's right. When a teacher saw the bruises on her arm, 5-year-old Selena Lopez did not go home that day. She was placed in foster care, and for the next 13 years, she went back and forth between her father's abusive home and 10 different group homes in Los Angeles. I asked Selena if that turmoil made her stronger. Selena, you entered the foster care system when you were 5 years old here in LA County. And like you've told me before, it's hard to remember all of those experiences and moments. But you remember one night in particular, and that was the night you were taken away from your home. So tell us about that experience.
So that night, my dad woke me up with a belt, beating me, hitting me all over my body until I actually woke up and reacted to it. It was a very hard and terrible night because I was being blamed for something that I didn't have no control. Like, I was 5 years old and my mother had left the home. And so my dad just beat me. And what I remember is just going to school the next day and showing somebody my body, and they called children's services on me, and that's when I remember my cycle for the foster care system began, like really intense.
So that first foster home that you went into, what was that like?
It was very ugly. I know that I was singled out a lot. There was other women there, other children there, and they would get more attention than me. I would get like used clothes. I remember the foster care child service worker would come and check up on us, and there was things that I couldn't say, like I couldn't say that I didn't get to eat that day, or just weird stuff as I grew up there.
And so I know that you said you were running back and forth between your father's abusive home and many different foster homes and group homes throughout Los Angeles. So how do you think running back and forth so much throughout your childhood as a young woman really showed you resilience and strength?
So at first it wasn't really a strength of mine, it was my weakness, because I didn't know where to turn. Like, I didn't know if I turned back to my dad, if that was something that was going to be safe, because at moments it was a place that I felt like I was going to be protected. But then he would start his drinking, and I would leave, and I would go back to the foster home or to the group home, and then I would be abused there or neglected there. So it really made me look at my life and see what I wanted with my life. And so unfortunately I made the bad decision in running into drugs and alcohol and got pregnant at an early age because I didn't know what was right. I didn't know that wasn't the lifestyle that was dealt for me.
And so running into drugs and alcohol, looking back now, what would you have done differently, or who do you wish would have been in your life at that time to prevent you from turning to those experiences?
To be honest, I would hope to have my family there. I've always had my grandmother close by, but she was never really connected with me. I'm guessing it's because of my dad's addiction and my mother's addiction that she didn't want nothing to do with it. But if I could wish for one thing, it was to have my family there supporting me and, you know, taking care of me. Even if it was kind of difficult and they met like many barriers, I would have loved to have them there. But like I said, I'm grateful that my story is what it is, because it made me the person I am. And if I look back, I could only thank myself from how far I've come. Like, it's been up to me. Like, I got in my internal strength to move forward and do what's right for my son and my family.
How many foster homes and group homes did you live in?
At least want to say more than 10.
Wow.
Yeah, I was all over the place. Torrance, Carson. I even went to Fontana for a while. And then I ended up in, what is this? Pico Rivera. Like, I was all over the place, unfortunately.
And is there one group home in particular or foster parent in particular that really helped you and inspired you?
So I did have a foster parent. After I had my son, I was taken to La Puente, and her name was Miss Oliver. I called her. She was really nice because she knew that my mom was dying from her illness, and so she would let me go and stay like weeks at a time with my mom in Long Beach and not report me that I was like missing, you know, so I could still see my son. So I'm very grateful to her. I still have a communication with her, you know, through social media. And I'm grateful because she seen me who I was as a person and not as a foster child. You know, she understand that things had happened to me and that I was hurt for a reason, but she didn't hold that against me. So I'm always grateful for her.
Do you ever ask yourself, why me? Why did this happen to me, to be in the foster care system for so long and experience the moments that you did?
It's an everyday question. Like, recently I was feeling a little bit depressed because I was thinking about my mom and situations that I'm in now. And I had to understand that God, I believe in my higher power, and that's who's helped me get to where I am, chose me. Like, He gave me, like God says, what people say, God gives their hardest battles to His strongest warriors. And so I see it like I was chosen because I had to tell my story for many other women that probably didn't get the chance to say it or are scared to open up. So I'm grateful that I'm the one that went through it, you know?
So you became pregnant with Nathan, your son, at a very vulnerable time in your life. What was that experience like to realize you were going to have a child and you decided to have Nathan? So how did you cope with all of that?
It was very difficult because at the time that I found out that I was pregnant, I was considered a runaway foster youth. So I was not supposed to be at my parents' house, but I was. And I went to find out that I was pregnant, and I found out that same week, right before that, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So I was really like shattered because I was going to bring a human being into this world, not knowing like if I am like vulnerable or if I'm even worth it. And so it was very difficult, but I seen it as a blessing because it gave something for my mom to motivate to fight her disease a little bit longer, which I'm grateful for. But Nathan is literally the apple of my eye. He's the blessing in disguise that God sent to me. Even his name means the gift of God, and I really truly believe that he is like sent from God because he's helped me this whole way.
Have you shared your story with Nathan?
I have shared my story. I've shared video clips of when I'm speaking about my story and my past, and he's always so touched and motivated. And I just want him to know that people make mistakes, but their mistakes doesn't define who they are. They could always rectify that and do better.
And so I know that your biological mother passed away. What would you tell her today if she knew everything you've accomplished and overcome?
That's kind of like really, really emotional for me because I would tell her, why'd you leave me? Like, you chose my brothers and sisters over me. And I would just say that I hope I made you proud, you know, and that I wanted her to know that I forgive her for everything that she did.
How do you think the foster care system can better empower women to be um, successful in their life?
By looking at the young ladies and the children as a person and not like as another statistic. Unfortunately, our system currently in Los Angeles doesn't focus on what an individual needs. They look at the bigger picture, and sometimes that is not beneficial for that person. If they would have looked at me as a young child that was abused all my life, that was in gangs, doing drug abuse, and would have gave me the resources I needed and the time I needed, I probably would have turned my life around way, way, way faster and before I hit all these bumps in the road.
So you mentioned turning your life around. At what moment did you turn your life around, and who was it that helped you with that?
So I lost my son for a while, and I was incarcerated. And throughout my incarceration, I was able to get clean and sober because I was doing time, so I didn't have any access to drugs or alcohol. And when I got out of incarceration from the LA County Jail, I thankfully went to a program where I met Susan Burden, who is the owner and founder of A New Way of Life, which helped me turn my life around tremendously. She helped me focus on my trauma, on my addiction, on everything that I needed to focus to be better as a person and then as a mother. And so I'm forever grateful for her because she took the time out to help me, and she's still doing it now with 7 houses here in Los Angeles.
So with A New Way of Life, are you still involved with it and helping women?
I'm still very involved. I am a big advocate for mothers who have been incarcerated that are trying to fight the injustice of the Department of Children and Family Services. I educate the community on that it's important to go out and vote. I try to be as active as I can, not only in my community, but I'm also now a senator and a student body organization senator for my school, which is Los Angeles Southwest College. I try to be as much as I can involved to help people understand the system and to be able to fight it.
So within the past 5 years especially, your life has taken off. You got your son back, you're married, you're enrolled in college. So tell us about your experiences right now and your goals moving forward.
So a blessing in disguise was meeting my husband. I am so grateful to God to have sent somebody that's going to love me and understand who I am. I'm grateful for him for supporting me and on my ups and downs, my good days and my bad days. I'm actually currently enrolled, majoring in communications, doing really well. I just met the honors program, and I'm looking to be transferring to UCLA soon. So I'm forever grateful for my accomplishments, my success, being able to have my son side by side with me everywhere I go is a blessing.
And what do you hope others learn from hearing your story?
To speak up and use your voice. It may not seem like it's a lot, but in the end, it touches a lot of people's hearts and it motivates them, whether it be an attorney that's dealing with a case, it would help them understand like what that child, what that teenager is going through. Even people that are being incarcerated or have been incarcerated, I suggest and I would hope that they use their voice to help prevent people from going to that place.
And is there anything else you'd like to say or for people to know about your story?
That even though I come from a neighborhood that was infested in drugs and in a bad area, I'm still a beautiful person. I'm a beautiful mother. Like I said, my past doesn't define who I am now. I have a bright future ahead of me, and I'm just grateful to see where God takes me now.
Thank you so much, Selena.
Thank you.